At this point, there are more open world games than I've had hot dinners. It's the industry's go-to genre, and for good reason. Fans love to dive into living, breathing worlds and spend tens, hundreds, or maybe thousands of hours losing themselves in it. Hell, that's why even usually linear franchises like Metal Gear Solid couldn't resist the allure of the sandbox. But which open worlds immersed us the most? Well, it's funny you should ask, because I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most immersive open world games. Number 10, No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is nothing less than the bar for a completely open-ended sci-fi RPG. Yes, we all remember that historically messy, disappointing launch, but even back then you could see the seeds that Hello Games were planting for an infinitely generating universe of aliens, spaceships, trading, mining, and much more to come. Today, following over half a decade of sizable free expansions, many of which feel like a sequel's worth of content, No Man's Sky lets you build hugely intricate bases, name your own planet, and take on missions from identifying ancient artifacts to gunning down a high-value bounty in another star system. There's character customization, ship customization, optional multiplayer, meaning that you can do everything that I'm mentioning here with a group of friends, and the whole game's art direction is just chef's kiss. Number 9, Outer Wilds. In this interstellar time loop game, players take control of an anthropologist eager to set out on their first expedition to study an ancient alien civilization. Unfortunately though, this is the day that the sun just so happens to explode, at which point the explorer awakens at the start of that day, seemingly saved by a mysterious artifact that activated prior to departure. Each of the 5 planets that you then explore are completely different in their visual style and gameplay mechanics. However, it's the revelations these planets contain that make Outer Wilds so enormously immersive. Piecing together clues from snippets of lore is central to the experience. It's entirely up to you which breadcrumb trail you follow first, and though there's a heavy puzzle element to figuring out how things like gravitational pulls can change from one place to the next, the overarching mystery always keeps you going. Figuring out how these planets work, what their physical properties are, and how they relate to the cosmos genuinely makes for an open world experience like no other. Number 8, CYBERPUNK 2077. As many are now finally able to see, with patch 1.5 delivering a version of the game that any non-PC player should have had in 2020, CD Projekt Red did create an exceptionally grounded and realised world in Cyberpunk, its city incredibly detailed and its entire landmass only elevating the various stories told within. Night City isn't only large in scope, but its scale is reflected within the verticality of its skyline and the densely packed streets below. Wherever you look provides some memorable takeaways. Apartments bustling with diverse groups of residents that you want to get to know, and glossy, oversized holograms hanging over dank back alley deals. This grimy, failed utopia with its crime-infested underbelly paints Night City as a place on the brink of collapse, something the story and its many endings let you get lost in. Number 7, Fallout New Vegas. I got Spurs, that jingle, jangle, jingle. I, personally, will never get the Fallout New Vegas soundtrack out of my head. When I think of some of the happiest times of my entire life, I picture strolling through the Mojave Wasteland banging out some Marty Robbins. The world Obsidian created here is one you can totally get lost in, as is Bethesda's Fallout 3, but it's made extra special by the sheer depth of it. This isn't a place with basic good guys and bad guys, with moral choices as simplistic as, do you want to be bad and nuclear explode an entire town? No, the world New Vegas spins is grimy, multi-layered, and full of interesting factions. Everyone has something going on, some kind of agenda to unearth, and even the villains have fascinating motivations for why they do what they do. Sure, the gameplay hasn't aged all that well, and its rushed development time is present at every turn, but those issues don't stop this from being a truly immersive world. In fact, those drawbacks only make it even more impressive. Number 6, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Over a decade later, Skyrim is still hailed as one of the best RPGs ever made. And while some aspects of combat and character models haven't aged so well, just like Fallout New Vegas, Bethesda's crowning achievement holds up as an always engrossing gaming experience. What makes Skyrim work so well has always been its world. The feeling of a realm genuinely alive with 1,000 activities all happening at once. Even after 100 hours of gameplay, there's always another quest to complete or dungeon to explore, and that's not even factoring in the expansions. Skyrim is a game that entices you to explore a little further each time. While travelling to a location for one quest, the silhouette of an undiscovered ruin or cave is enough to take you on a detour, which in itself turns into another detour or maybe 3 more. From snowy settlements on the tallest mountains to strange subterranean areas hidden underneath ruins, Skyrim has never felt like an entity any of us have seen every last part of, and that's one hell of an achievement. Number 5. Elden Ring. From Software have been known for their phenomenal world design ever since the original Demon's Souls. In Elden Ring though, the team has mastered a coalescence of exploration, combat and discovery that doesn't let you go for literally hundreds of hours. Every last inch of the lands between is a gargantuan open space that somehow also retains a handcrafted level design, with certain pockets of the map turning into miniature Souls games all on their own. With pure curiosity-fueled exploration paramount to the experience, Elden Ring has no waypoints, only a vague marker on where to go if you find its sites of grace, and few map markers unless you make your own. It forces you into a mindset of picking a direction and just seeing what you can find, and fortunately, every area houses new gear, new enemies, new bosses, items, XP, and various other elements that fold back into whatever the hell you want to do next. Number 4, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The first time through The Witcher 3, really taking in just how much CDPR had written, designed, and crafted everywhere across the game world was just... well, it was something else. Geralt's continent-spanning quest to find Ciri had players spending dozens of hours slaying monsters, and if you were a big nerd, playing Gwent. But we also had a ton of literal question marks promising extra objectives, underground caves, bandit camps, rare items, gear, and everything in between. Now, I've talked a lot about gameplay immersion in this list, but it's worth saying that truly exquisite writing and that extra level of attention to detail can really elevate the experience as well. No matter how insignificant a quest may seem, each one in The Witcher 3 is tied to a rich and engaging narrative, or functions as a neat, memorable one-off. There's no such thing as a throwaway task here. Even scavenger hunts are connected in their own way through letters and notes found on the journey. Number 3, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If there was one game that showed how immersive an open world can be, it was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. After spending just a few hours with this masterclass in game design, it's easy to see why it's so easy to get lost in these stunning vistas of Hyrule. When Link awakens at the start of the game and emerges into the expansive world that opens before him, the world becomes fully explorable from the go. Freedom is at the core of the journey here. Nothing is really off limits. Players can set off in any direction they choose to tackle the non-linear story in any order that they desire. Hell, players can even head straight to the final boss if they're feeling especially brave that day. Though the vast freedom awarded to players right out of the gate is all part of what makes this gorgeous world so great, it's the sense of discovery and experimentation that cement this open world as one of the best. With barely any map markers telegraphing key locations, it's up to players to uncover what's out there. And with many of these secrets requiring players to solve cryptic puzzles, there's always something new to find in Hyrule. Number 2, Grand Theft Auto 5. When a certain generation gets older, they're gonna look back on GTA 5's portrayal of LA and its surrounding areas as somewhere that they used to genuinely visit. The sheer amount of combined time that we as a people have invested into GTA 5's world, both its offline story and GTA Online, is staggering, genuinely and completely unmatched. Hell, I know its streets better than the place I grew up. Whether you're going on a rampage through bustling streets, racing across the open countryside, or simply taking in the scenery from the air, GTA 5 prides itself on letting you spend your time however the hell you like, and with GTA Online, that time has continued to provide plenty of surprises. Number 1, Red Dead Redemption 2. Whether Arthur Morgan's heart-wrenching character arc, phenomenal characters and acting performances, or a magnificent soundtrack reminiscent of the golden age of Western cinema, Dan Houser's last Rockstar game is an absolute masterpiece. It's also a masterpiece precious few have even finished, but that's largely because they were so enamored and thoroughly enraptured by its world. See, Red Dead 2's expansive portrayal of the Old West is a painterly one. something that takes influence from how the rolling hills and sweeping cloud formations of the late 1800s paintings would romanticize the period overall. Obviously, there's a dark reality to the lawlessness within, but Rockstar's unique, endless budget crafted an eye-widening amount of activities to do and secrets to find. Setting a deliberately glacial pace to surpass even the grandest westerns of Hollywood, Rockstar are begging players to just take their time, soak in every detail at your own pace, and just enjoy the time you have in this game. Everything from brushing Arthur's horse to polishing a pistol is purposefully slow and methodical. Every movement feels weighty and grounded in the world around it. This is the nearest thing we've ever got to virtual reality without the goggles, and the result is arguably the most immersive digital experience ever created. But I want to know what you guys think about that down in the comments. Do you agree, or are there any immersive experiences I missed that you think deserve a spot in this top 10? While you're down there as well, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.